Hi, thanks for joining me. Authorizations to return to Canada is an application that we do a lot here at the firm. Authorizations to return to Canada is exactly that, which means you're requesting the minister permission to come back to Canada. In order to need this application, you should have had something called a deportation order. You've been removed from Canada for a specific reason, and now you need permission to come back. A typical example is where a client had a failed refugee case and you receive the failed refugee denial letter, and a client then exits the country voluntarily and decides many years later, 5-10 years later, and says, you know what, I'm going to apply for a visit visa. I have a life back home now. I don't need permanent residency. It's done. And I just want to apply for a visit visa. So when they do, they're shocked to know that the officer has rejected the case because they need the authorization to return as well. What this is when a failed refugee case and you leave voluntarily, within 30 days, that turns into a deportation order. It's not supposed to, so long as both sides of the border, the officers follow their procedures. And unfortunately, they don't. The officer that puts you on the plane has to indicate and stamp your passport that they are the ones that put you into that plane. The receiving officer, and this is where always the mess up happens, let's say they've sent you over to Australia, they've deported you to Australia. The receiving officer in Australia has to now indicate on their computer that they've received you. Just because you were on that plane doesn't mean that you landed in Australia, the destination of where you were supposed to go. You may have had a layover in the Netherlands and stopped there and gone there. If the receiving officer doesn't do what he or she needs to do, that voluntary departure automatically turns into a deportation without your knowledge. So 99.9% of the time, if not 100% in my experience, this officer is not doing what they're supposed to do. Maybe they got busy, maybe they just didn't do, they didn't pay attention. And so you get slapped with a deportation, an automatic deportation. When you want to return back to Canada and you want to apply for a visit visa, all you have to do is include the authorization to return to Canada form, the government fees, and demonstrate that you have zero intentions of residing permanently in Canada, that your life is good back home, that you have significant ties back home to return to, and your true intentions is to be a visitor, a bona fide visitor to Canada. So long as you do that, it should be a straightforward visit visa application. The same applies to an exclusion order. An exclusion order is a different type of removal order. This is where you are requested to stay put in your home country for a minimum of 12 months. If you do, then you in 12 months can apply for a straightforward visit visa without an authorization to return to Canada. You are requested to stay away from Canada for 12 months and then return, and you can apply for a study permit, visit visa without the ARC. If within that 12 months you cannot stay away from Canada or you want to eagerly return back to Canada, then you must apply with the authorization to return to Canada form. You need to request permission. So an exclusion order, stay away 12 months, you don't need the ARC. Want to come within the 12-month period, you need to escalate it and ask the minister for permission to enter back. A deportation, as I stated earlier, is an automatic authorization to return to Canada request. So that is, you have a formal letter that says you've been sent home or sent to the country that you came from. And now if you want to come back, you need permission to come back. Last thing I want to mention here is sometimes you are forcefully removed from Canada and they put you on the plane and they send you to your home country. In this situation, the government of Canada paid for your airline ticket. And if that happens, before you are allowed to enter back to the country, they want their money back. They want that airline ticket back. So you're going to have to pay the government fee of $400 for the authorization to return to Canada, including the airfare that they've paid. Once that's paid, they will consider your application to return to Canada. If you have questions about the ARC, please give me a call. Thank you, and until next time.